This broadcast is the property of Codependents Anonymous. Reproduction without written permission from Codependents Anonymous is not permitted.
All right, hello everybody, I'm Cindy. I am codependent. Boy. If you saw me, I'll tell you what guys, if you saw me like 9 years ago when I walked into my first CoDA meeting, you wouldn't have recognized me. No, I was like, all right, I'm scared, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's where I was. But this had the potential of being there. It just wasn't quite there at that time. Yeah, thank you. I'm not going to go into a lengthy introduction. You know, I had this wonderful introduction planned about my history and my journey, blah, blah, blah. Same journey, guys. Everybody knows it. Same journey. You know, oh, by the way, I don't use a microphone. I try not to. I'm Greek. We don't need microphones. Let's get real. Really. But same journey, you know, grew up with values that were like really questionable values. And had these questionable beliefs about myself and about the world and about other people. Went through hell, went through therapy. Went through more hell, went through more therapy. You know? Then somewhere in there, I found CoDA. And it just changed everything. It absolutely changed my heart. And someone said to me yesterday, you know, in CoDA, you're free to be you. You know, free to be me. And I thought about that, and something that occurred to me about that phrase, I never wanted to be me. I hated being me. Free to be what? Then, in CoDA, I recognized that being Cindy isn't that bad. Being Cindy is actually pretty cool. I like me now. Now I'm free to be me. But you have to like yourself to even want to be you. So I have an affinity for the promises, okay? And because that's what we all want. We want exactly what those promises say. And when I first read the promises, my initial thought was, yeah, right, not me. Nah, that won't work for me. Yeah, I could see other people, yeah. But I still kept on coming to the meetings. And I'm still thinking, maybe there is something here. And I had to be humbled. I had to be genuinely humbled. Because without being genuinely humbled, it was all ego. I know what to do. I can handle it myself. I don't need you. But I was still humbled. And I kept on coming to the meetings. And then I found a sponsor. Oh, God, that poor woman, what I put her through. Honestly. And I worked the steps. And then I put her through more because I worked the steps again. So anyhow, so here we are. So I'm going to tell you how we're going to do this. First of all, I'd like everybody, please, to make sure that you have a handout. Okay, the handouts are over there. Feel free to pick up a QR code. This handout is actually the 4-page version of the long version. The long version is 26 pages long. Events committee said, yeah, no. Don't think so, sunshine. Yeah. So I condensed it, and all worked out, so we have 4 pages. Couple housekeeping things is, yeah, I'm a tough one here. I don't give breaks. So what that means is feel free to take a break if you need. I have no problem if you stand up, get up. I have no problem with that. If you need to take a break, use the restroom, grab some water, grab some snacks. I have no problem with that at all. So feel free to be on your own when it comes to taking a break. Whenever you need to take a break, please, I take no offense to something like that at all. I'm not like, check that out. Yeah, that's not. Also, too, you know, I've been to ICCs in the past, actually to one before, and one thing that I've noticed about a lot of the presentations are, they're so warm and heartfelt. They're so touching. They're so meaningful. And you know what? That's not mine. So, mine is in your face. I make you have to think. These questions are not questions. What I've done is I've taken the Prelude and the 12 Promises of Codependents Anonymous. I wrote tough questions to these. These questions make you have to think. This is your mirror. And you know what? These are not easy. These are hard. So you have a lot of options here. You can answer these questions. You can use I gave you, if you see, attached to the back of your handout, there are 2 spare sheets of paper. You can use backs of it. You can use the spare sheets of paper. You can get a little notepad if you like. You have pens. And you can answer one of the questions. You can answer 2 of the questions. You can answer none of the questions. What you can do is, if you look at these and you think, oh, this isn't for me, you can take these papers and you can make paper airplanes out of them. Whee! Yeah, if that's not for you, make paper airplanes, guys. All right. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read each section. So I'll start with the Prelude and I'll read the questions to the Prelude. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to answer the questions. And then after that, I will give everybody the opportunity to come up. And of course, everybody's not going to come up. And answer 1, 2 of them, none of them, but to come up and share some of the answers to your questions. Is that cool? Cool. Good. All right. Thank you. All right. Prelude. I don't think I need this. Prelude. I can expect a miraculous change in my life by working the program of Codependents Anonymous. As I make an honest effort to work the 12 steps and follow the 12 traditions. Question number 1. What would a miraculous change in your own life look like overall? Now remember, the miraculous change that we're seeking is in ourselves, not in other people. This isn't as though, well, geez, only if Bob would change this, my life would be so much easier. Yeah, no. That's not how this program works. Consider changes to your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. Question number 2. How can you personally make a dishonest effort to working the steps and traditions? A dishonest effort. That's actually one of my favorite questions. And question number 3. What are your personal barriers to success in working the 12 steps and traditions? Time, space, other people, work, responsibilities, finances, housing, education, employment, transportation, any other interests, any other involvements in your life. Yeah, of course, he'll never let me come to a CoDA meeting. Oh, he would be so offended. Okay. Guys, I'm going to give you a couple minutes. Go ahead and answer questions. And then after about about 3 minutes or 4 minutes, then I'll give people the opportunity to come up and share some of the answers. Would anybody like to come up and share on the Prelude? Any of the answers? Yeah, please, come on up, hon. You can adjust the microphone however works for you, if you need a microphone.
Hi, I'm Terry, grateful recovering codependent. At the CSC this past week, the CoDA Service Conference, I was to give a motion, present a motion and a report for my committee on Tuesday. Well, things got a little out of hand, and they shut down the meeting when the translators were no longer hired, and I did not get to say my piece. Not that I really wanted to, because I do not I'm uncomfortable getting up in front of people. It's getting better, and this helps, but I recognize the change. I was able to recognize the changes that have taken place in my recovery. I was always feeling like I needed to do more. And with this experience, and then Wednesday morning, I was told I would be first. The last straw was when they said that another person was to present their report. And I just broke down and cried because I was not getting a voice. And my thoughts were, they are not being fair. They said I would be first. And it took me a good 5-10 minutes to calm down, which is also a miracle because I would have, 10 years ago, I would have just left. But I realized, and this is the aha moment, it wasn't their fault. It wasn't their personality, or it wasn't the event. It was a trigger from my childhood where my voice was suppressed. I was put down all the time. I wasn't allowed to speak or even felt seen. And that was the miracle, is I recognized the trigger and I was able to do something about it. And I was able to give the report, the motion and the report in a calm voice. And it was a wonderful growth experience. Even through, and I'm finding that sometimes you have to go through the chaos to get to the gem. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Would anybody else like to come up and answer questions on this? Let's see who has the guts to do number 2. Answer number 2 out loud. Bring it. Cool.
So this is going to be short. The first one, I answered all of them. The first one is the promises. That would be the promises fulfilled. So that's my answer for the first one. The second one is, if I was going to be dishonest, I would be imitating others. I would not be myself. I would be pretending. And it really reminds me of when I, years ago, used to be in sales. And I got back one day, and there was one of the salespeople wasn't very successful. And he came in and he said, I think if I can just figure out how to fake sincerity, I will be successful. And I thought he was joking, but he wasn't joking. So, and the third one is it's sort of what's hard. So we have 3 kids, my husband and I. He's here, and there's no formula. CoDA doesn't give me a formula for whether we're being helpful or hurting when it's our kids sometimes. And so we have to get wisdom from our higher power. And what if my husband's wisdom from his higher power is different from mine? That's a challenge. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate this.
Terry B. from Nevada. My miraculous change really kind of was, would be loving myself and thinking I'm a worthwhile person. I was always put down when I was a kid, and not really from my parents. My parents really didn't talk to me. They were off in their own little worlds. But my older sisters, I'm the third of 4 girls, and talk about the estrogen in the house. Whew, we even had a female dog, so my poor dad was outnumbered. No wonder he drank. But yeah, I was put down, so I never thought it was really worthwhile. And the miraculous change came because even I've been in the program for 10 years, and before that, I still did not think I was a worthwhile person. And then the dishonesty is, I can be dishonest with myself, not truthful, and hide from my defects of character. So that's where I'm not honest with myself. And as far as the barriers for working the 12 steps, I've worked them 3 times now. So there's really no barriers for me working the steps. But what I have found is it goes back to number 2. I'm not so honest with myself. And so I need to continue working them so I can uncover more stuff.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good. Please, come on.
I'm Josie, codependent in Colorado. Hi. Yeah, so when I saw number 2, I was like, okay, that explains my story exactly. So I was one of those people that basically, I got into the program desperate. I was actually in California at the time, but I was moving to Colorado in 5 weeks. And I was like, I am not going to make my move to Colorado a geographic cure. So I was like, will someone sponsor me in the group? And everyone's like, no, there's no way I'll sponsor someone that's moving away in 5 weeks. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm just going to do this myself. Got the CoDA Green Book, worked it for like 3-4 hours a day. Anytime I wasn't in it, finished my amends and everything right at about 5 weeks after. It caused a spiritual transformation. Then I let up on my step work, and I was right back in another addiction. So number one thing to do is put a huge amount of effort in it and start to rest on your laurels. I'd experienced a spiritual awakening. My codependency problem was, from that point, I mean, it's never gone, but, it's like, at that point, it's like, that was no longer controlling my life. But then God just let in another one to try to make me work the steps again. So lesson number 1, God will find other ways to make me work the steps. Hopefully picking up another addiction isn't one of them. Lesson number 2, inner child work is great. It doesn't take the place of the steps. This is the other one that I learned. I spent a whole bunch of time in a step study group that focused a whole bunch on inner child work before it, and almost everyone dropped out at the end, and it fell apart before we got very far into the steps. I had been through the steps before. No one else in there had, and everyone was just like, this is impossible. And I now realize that the inner child work has to come later. The steps cause the spiritual awakening that allows me to do it.
Very nice. Good insight. Okay. Promise number 1. I know a new sense of belonging. The feelings of emptiness and loneliness will disappear. Question number 1. What is the worst thing from your own perspective that you ever did when you felt empty? I don't expect you to answer that one out loud. You do? Cool. Question number 2. When you are alone, do you have obsessive thoughts about others or about events that prevent you from focusing on the present and that prevent you from being spiritual? What are these obsessive thoughts? Who are they about? Question number 3. How much approval or attention do you seek for your actions, perspectives, etc., from others or from social media? Likes on Facebook? Oh, come on. I posted a picture. 87 likes. Oh, my God, I'm loved. Be brutally honest. Okay, I'll give you guys a couple minutes. Okay, cool. Let's do this. Soon. Here you are.
Thank you. I'm Brian from Richmond, BC, otherwise known as Vancouver. And I just realized something. She handed me the mic. It's crazy. I always say sorry. But they say Canadians always say sorry. So I don't know if that, some people say that's bad and some people say that's a great national trait. Personally, I don't know. Anyway, what's happening, interesting enough, in the last few months is I cry. I literally cry, and I don't know why. And then you hear things like, grown men don't cry. So it gets a little bit rough sometimes, to say the least. And what I'm doing and what's happening, which is really interesting, is I'm dwelling on the past and longing for all those good times we once had, because I always remember what my parents did for me, and after all these years, I finally realized that they were right about a lot of things I thought they maybe not were right on. And for the last item, it's a lot. It's always happening.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Who else would like to come up? Anybody else like to come up? Thank you. Anybody else like to come up and answer these questions? Pardon? Cool. I'm not a... not a machine person. I'm not. I do things like this. That's my strength, not this. That's why we have tech people. Please.
Hello, my name is Abby. From Florida, CoDA delegate as well. I've had the amazing experience of attending the CSC this past 4 days, and I experienced a lot of introspect. Promise, number one, what's the worst thing from my own perspective? When I felt empty, usually I'm similar where I've been in the program, out of the program, in the program. And the 2 years ago, I felt so empty where I had this, I wanted to end it all kind of thing. And I had tried it and actually attempted it in college, but then I had that feeling 2 years ago, and I went to treatment, and then I did a lot of work. And I also, before that, I had been doing a lot of transformational work, pilgrimages. I had been on a couple of pilgrimages to Egypt, and doing a lot of work. And what I realized is that when I do destructive behavior, that's not what I want. And so I made a commitment to only stay on the road, stay on the track to spiritual growth. And for the past 2 years, I've had a full life. I feel that the promises, I started doing the steps, and I did all the suggestions that my therapist and my sponsor has suggested. And I feel like the promises are coming true, and that my life is full. I travel the world. I do art. I play the drum. I have a wonderful job. I've been clearing my wreckage from the past with my family and doing the steps, and I'm on the right track. And so for me, I get on the track and then I get off. And then for me, the most important thing for me is it's easier for me to just stay on the track away from the destructive behavior. And how I do that is by loving myself. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Would anybody else like to come up and answer the questions to promise number one? Please.
I'm Diane from Sudbury, Ontario, Canada.
Hey, Diane.
Well, number one, I suffer from a mental health disease. So what is the worst thing that I ever did? I attempted to commit suicide. I wore too many hats. I had to be the perfect daughter, perfect employee, perfect mom. The hats fell apart. So it was the best thing that could ever happen to me when my then husband and family committed me to a mental health institution. And it was that point that I was mad, blamed everybody. This is all your fault that you put me here. Once I was in the program through the mental health group, codependence, by the way, is not a new thing. It's been around forever. It is in the Mental Health Act. It is in recovery of mental health. For me, this is a mental health disease. It's not spoken enough because there's a stigma. If I say mental health, people are all going to think I'm crazy. It's not true. We are here on this earth to serve God's will. And it's through God's will that I am here today. Through different programs, this is not my first 12-step program. They all speak the same thing. They all do the 12 steps. They all speak the same language. It's spiritual. And it's all higher power. That's why I'm here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I get one more volunteer. Oh, please, come on on.
I'm going to try to make this fit without telling you a long story. But the worst emptiness about, it says what I caused, or, right?
What's the worst thing that you did from your own perspective?
That you ever did.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I keep asking myself, what did I do? What did I do? Because I don't know what I did. But I know that my daughter left home at 18 to go to college, and it wasn't a college that I would have chose or knew anything about. She chose it through another resource. It was far away from home, 13-hour drive, and I did all I could, but I imagined that this was losing my relationship, and her living so far for so long and knowing that she won't be coming back. I mean, she comes back for a visit, but she doesn't want to live anywhere around us, her family, even in the state. So that created a lot of emptiness because, and I know this is out of my codependence, that I was really kind of living through her. She just was the most important person to me. I had imagined so much of being with her, and I used to fear that we were going to drive her away because she and her father were just clashed heads a lot, and our relationship was very codependent. And in fact, she's actually the person who told me about CoDA one of the times when she did come back and stayed for a short while, and she discovered CoDA. She started going to meetings, and she, when she left, she says, "Mom, you got to go check this out. You really, might like it." And that was 5 years ago. So I've been going ever since.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. No, thank you so much. Yeah, good. Okay, cool. Oh, good. I'll continue. Okay, promise number 2. I am no longer controlled by my fears. I overcome my fears and act with courage, integrity, and dignity. Question number 1. What are your codependent fears? Fear of abandonment, fear of not being liked, fear of not being taken seriously, fear of being lonely, fear of being alone in the future, fear of not being accepted, fear of being bullied, fear of being controlled, fear of making someone angry, fear of being pitied, fear of being criticized, fear of not fitting in, fear of being out of control, fear of not being perfect, fear of losing face, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of adult responsibilities. I can't handle this. I still want to be a child. Fear of being independent, fear of not being lovable, fear of not being attractive, fear of being rejected, fear of being vulnerable, fear of being found out, fear of not getting attention, fear of getting attention. Question number 2. Do you have the guts to work the steps of Codependents Anonymous? I mean, really work the steps with a sponsor? Otherwise, it's really not needed to work the steps. Really? 3, if you taught assertiveness training, how would you teach someone to communicate assertively? Question number 4, discuss a situation in which it's difficult to be honest and operate with integrity. A personal situation in which it's difficult for you to be honest and operate with integrity. I don't know, with your spouse, your boss, your kid. Okay, give you guys a couple minutes. Okay, can I get a volunteer to come up and answer any of the questions, please? Oh, goody.
I'm Sharon, codependent. This one really spoke to me because the characteristics are all about fear. And there is safety, my fear of safety, not being safe. I remember telling my mom one time, and she actually passed it on, I don't care if people like me, but they better respect me. I come from a very, very poor family, and I didn't realize until I started CoDA how that really affected me. You wouldn't think that that would be the thing that would affect you, but some of the expectations and such. I went to, when I was single, I went to a singles group that just did basically talking about different issues. And I remember they were talking, oh, you know, somebody might leave me and this and that. And I realized that it was much deeper for me. And I talked to the person who was a counselor at that time. And I said, I'm afraid of being abandoned, you know, just really abandoned. And it turned out this counselor actually belonged to CoDA too. So, you know, basically all of mine have been fears. The situation which I find that is hardest to be honest with, and which I had to use a lot when I was growing up, because my mother was really abused and she had lots of problems. And you know, as I grew up, I realized, you know, how pathetic and how sorry it was for her. But discuss the situation and difficult to be honest and operate with integrity. Anytime I'm being attacked or feel a lot of hostility, I just have this wall that I feel nothing. And it really worked for me. I never got caught. You know, I was the good person in the family, and they didn't have to worry about me because I wasn't the one like my sister, who was just a real truck driver. And I said, Mama's going to get you, which they didn't really like.
Thank you so much. Would someone else like to come up, please, and answer? Oh, come on, someone from the back. Come on, guys. Good morning, sunshine. Now I'm awake. Please, Rosa. Yay. Gracias.
Hi, good morning. I'm Rosa. Good afternoon. Rosa, codependent. Grateful to be here. Yes, controlled by my fears. I am no longer controlled. I grew up in fears. I think I circled and highlighted every single fear on this paper, and I probably shortchanging myself. But it's okay. It's okay. CoDA has allowed me to now be able to name my fears. Before I used to hide them. You know, this week has been a little bit of a challenge, and I wanted to catch the next plane back to California because I was fearful. I don't like the feeling of being fearful. It took me back to my childhood years where I hid under the bed, you know, waiting for that belt or that monster or that statement of being no good, you know. So I was ready to catch the next plane. But I love, you know, I have this saying now I've learned with CoDA, my favorite saying, and I don't know if I'm copying: get up, show up, stay on track, and be led. Be led. Get up, show up, stay on track, and be led. I don't know. I want to be led. I'm tired of fighting my fears. There's someone higher than me, brighter than me, stronger than me, that would lead the way. Get up, show up, stay on track, and be led. No longer controlled by my fears. I got them. They're there. But I know how to track them. I know how to face them. I don't know how to deal with them, but I know what they're called. I know how they feel like, and so that's me. If I had, do you have the guts to work the steps of Codependents Anonymous? And the answer, it's a astounding yes. I do have the guts. I do have the guts. I have no other way. I have to be gutsy. I've learned this program has shown me to be gutsy, and to get up, show up, stay on track, and be led. If I was taught an assertiveness training class, how would you teach someone to communicate assertively? I will be very clear. I would be very concise. I would ask them to use I statements. I would ask them to be empathetic. I would ask them to be connected. Be connected. I would ask them to be present. I would ask that they state what is it that they want to accomplish from the situation or from the relationship. That's being clear, concise. The CoDA has taught me to be very clear. Say what you mean and mean what you say. I had a situation right before I came, a few days before I came. My 16-year-old dog is very sick, very old, and dying. I had made a decision that he was going to go to sleep, and we were not going to go through more pain. But I had a 2-week vacation, and I was heading over. My ex-husband, who I have a very good relationship with now, had promised that he was going to help so that I would be okay. I came home one day, and he was there, and he was triggered by something, and I didn't know what it was. But I made a very, very, insignificant comment on something, and he was triggered, and he became very aggressive, not physically, but very verbally aggressive with me. And he lost his cool. And I just had to say, I'm sorry. I love myself too much, and I respect myself too much to allow you've crossed the boundary. And you've crossed the boundary, and I'm sorry, I don't appreciate, and I'm not going to accept anybody anymore to be disrespectful to me, because it's about self-care and self-love. What are you going to do about the dog? I said, it's okay. I will find a way of having someone take care of my dog. I talked to my next door neighbors, and they said, don't worry, Rosa, just go on. We'll take care of Dino. And he's on medications, and we'll make sure that he gets his medication twice a day. And but I felt very uncomfortable, because part of me said, what am I going to do? My dog is dying. He has to have his medicines twice a day. He needs to be taken out. And but I just said, I'm going to go ahead and get up, show up, stay on track, and be led. Thank you very much for allowing me to share.
Thank you. Thank you. Would anyone else like to share on that question? On that promise? No? Shall we go on? Cool. All right. Promise number 3. I know a new freedom. Question number 1. What are you free from? Question number 2. With this new freedom, how are your thoughts and your emotions any different? How are you thinking differently? What are the new thought patterns, the recovery thinking, as opposed to the addiction thinking? With this new, question number 3, with this new freedom, how are your behaviors, your actions, any different? addiction thinking is very self-centered. Now, even if we say that, oh, I did so much for all these other people, but the whole purpose for doing things for all these other people is for what we gain, for what we get out of it. So it's very self-centered. So genuine recovery thinking has more compassion in win-win situations. It's genuine compassion for the other human being. I tell you what, I'm going to answer this question. Okay, lucky you. What am I free from? I'm going to go to the thoughts and emotions. Thoughts, my thinking is more genuine. My thinking is more clear. This is one thing that I've recognized in my recovery, is that my thinking is more clear. It's less encumbered by negative thoughts about other people. That, like, well, his motivation. Yeah, what's his motivation behind it? What if there's none? What if the motivation is pure of the other human being? What a concept. And I'm finding, because, I was going somewhere with this one. One of the things in my own recovery is, and you may have heard me say this before, I got to understand and pay more attention to different people's personalities instead of thinking, well, that behavior means this. If he doesn't answer my text message within 5 minutes, that means this. Fill in the blank. When the world doesn't revolve around me. He could be employed. What a concept. He could have something more important in his life. Oh no, I'm not the most important thing in somebody's life. Oh my God, I can't handle it. My thoughts have changed in this sense. And that's where the compassion came in. Where I got to let other people in and let people be people. And respect people for exactly who they are. Not that they were either human monsters trying to take over me, and that I either had to be defensive or wussy. People were just people. That's when my new thoughts and emotions have changed. So I was able to open up my heart to understanding what people were experiencing. And so my behaviors are calmer. Now I just get to be goofy, but they're not, my behaviors aren't more motivated by being defensive. Does that make sense? Yeah. My behaviors, and also too, I like, one of my evidences of recovery for me is that I like that I'm willing now to communicate whatever I need to communicate. And I guess people say that's being transparent. I say communicate. I say being open, and so essentially what that means is, and how that manifests is that if I need to communicate with my team about something, everybody knows. Everybody on my team knows. Because I'm not playing any games. I'm not holding anything so that I can be the important one. Thank you. Anybody want to answer this? Sorry to monopolize that one, guys. Now, come on, Cindy. Come on, what you got, woman?
Trivial.
Nah. Bring it on, woman.
It's just going to be sweet, short and sweet.
It'll be mine. I'm Cindy K. Cindy R. I'm from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I've claimed that this promise for a long time since I've been in CoDA is my favorite. And I've never really sat down and looked at it or thought about it briefly. It just, when I would say it, it just felt better. And I didn't know why. Now, this is the first time, and you see I've written a little bit about it. What am I free from? The old me, first and foremost. I love this. I saw this years ago. Sorry I have to use this to read my note, but I saw this years ago and loved it. I've gotten rid of several people I used to be. So that list gets longer of those that I used to be. But I'm picking up new ones. And they're much more easier on the heart and my connection with other people. Okay. Second one, with this new freedom, how are my thoughts and emotions any different? The fact is, I always thought I had to appear to have it together. I'm a pretty, not prissy, but this has got to match, and that's got to match. Yeah, you see it, right? The hair's got to match the shirt and the shoes and whatever, and that's still fun to me. That's not depressing, and that's not too heavy. It's when I was a child, all I ever remembered hearing was, "You're a beautiful little girl. You're the prettiest little girl I've ever seen." And so that has endured, that stayed there. And that's okay. I'm pretty inside. And that's the part that I recognize the most. With this new freedom, how have my behaviors and actions changed? I know I am free, whether I do the same as I did before or I don't. In other words, everything's not going to change. Sorry, I'm putting you to sleep. I love it. Oh, bless your heart. See, I'm still codependent. I'm sorry. Still have that trait. Anyhow, I know I am free whether I do the same as before or I am new. And there's a lot more new about me today. So thank you for listening. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, anybody else want to come up and answer this? Oh, come on, dudes. Yeah, please. Oh, goody. Hold on. That's all good. It's all good. Here, sir.
Thank you. Sorry, Brian. Brian again from Richmond, BC. I'm free from self-criticism, of not loving myself, and most important to me is making judgments and assumptions. And now I'm more positive, bold. I go more with the flow, and going with the flow, handling situations as we go along. And today, somebody even mentioned about seeing things through a different set of eyes, perhaps. Not being afraid of taking on new projects and responsibilities. Self-care is my job one.
Thank you so much. Very nice. Very nice. Would anybody else like to come up on this one? Oh, goody. Come on up, hon. Oh, good. Eep. You can adjust this however you need, hon.
I promise not to be a mic hog, but I really like this promise as well. I think it really has changed my life. This is probably the most important aspect of my life, which is my thoughts. And how I grew up, I was, the thoughts would, I'd cling to the negative thoughts that were in the past and what happened and how I thought it happened, and which led to emotions of fear mainly, and then actions of destructive behavior usually. That's my pattern of codependency and addiction. And so I have a freedom from the fear, which was, I was consumed with fear. I have freedom from the past. I'm not my past. I'm not what happened to me. And I truly believe that. And anything in the future, I can just be in the present moment. I live moment by moment, and that really helps me throughout the day. So I'm not consumed with what happened in the past and what happens coming up. And then it gives me space to prepare for the moment, prepare for the future, and do what I need to do at work and in my present relationships with my family, friends, and take care of myself as well. And as a result, I'm so blessed. I have an abundance. And what is the new freedom? How the thoughts, the new freedom is just being in the present moment, like just being present one moment at a time versus thinking about, because that's what led to my destructive behavior, And so now I have space for new decisions, new fears, as a result of, thank you. This is my favorite promise.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Wow, that's cool. All right. Promise number 4. I release myself from worry, guilt, and regret about my past and present. I am aware enough not to repeat it. Question number 1. Name 10 codependent behaviors that you experienced in the past that you would be worried that you might repeat in the present. So what I'm talking about here is this. In your recovery, that means that you got rid of some of these codependent behaviors, right? Yes. Cool. So think about the ones that you're concerned that you would repeat. Like saying yes when you want to say no, saying no when you want to say yes, gossiping, judging, whatever your recovery looks like. Question number 2. With each of the codependent behaviors you listed above, do you have sufficient faith in your recovery right now not to repeat it? I'm going to repeat that one. Do you have sufficient faith in your recovery right now not to repeat those old behaviors? How solid is your recovery? That's what I'm asking. What do you need to do to have further faith in your recovery, to make it more solid? Because if we don't work our program, straight up, if we don't work our program, first of all, it's fragile. And it can dissipate the further we get away from it. Question number 3. Why do you feel it's necessary to release yourself from these negative emotions of worry, guilt, and regret? Why? Why do you need to get rid of worry, guilt, and regret? Aren't they wonderful little skeletons to have running around you? Worry. Oh, here comes the worry. Here's the guilt. Uh-oh, regret. You don't want them? What value do they have in your life? What value do these emotions have in your life? Worry, guilt, and regret. I think my mother likes to worry. I think she gets something out of it. My point isn't to judge, but this is an observation. She enjoys worrying, it appears. It serves a purpose. And then she had me for a daughter, poor thing. Okay, take a couple moments. And the truth is, you already have these answers in your heads. So you can come up and answer them without having to sit down and write them. I tell you what, while people are writing, continue writing, but somebody can come up and answer. Please, come on up, hon, and you can start answering your questions.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm codependent. So I answered the first one, which is name 10 codependent behaviors that you experienced in the past that you worry you might repeat in the future. I wrote that I have dated people in the past who were emotionally unavailable, and I was also emotionally unavailable, and we both had like a lot of unhealed trauma, and I'm scared to recreate those like toxic dynamics that I experienced. So I'm scared to create those in my current relationship, and I'm scared to create them in future relationships. I worry that I'm going to date people who are not good for me. I worry that I'm going to stay too long. I worry that I will behave in controlling and manipulative ways in relationships. And ultimately, I worry that I will abandon myself, because that's what I did for a long time.
That takes guts to admit, though. Good for you.
Thank you. So in the past, I felt like I couldn't leave relationships. And now I feel like I could never lose myself the way that I did. And I really hope that's true. And if things were ever that bad, I genuinely believe that I would leave. And I think that I need to continue engaging in healthy relationships and leaving when it stops feeling right. And I have to trust myself to know when it stops feeling right. And I also have to trust my higher power to like tell me when that time is. Thanks for letting me share.
Nice, thanks. Very nice. Anybody else want to come up and answer one of these questions or several of these questions? Please, sir, come on.
I think I'll take the microphone.
Okay.
I'm Michael. I'm a codependent. And I really like this promise and the challenge to answer it. Okay, so here are my 10 codependent behaviors. Regret, shame, fear, comparing myself to others, worry, advising, judging, gossiping, and saying yes when I mean no, and vice versa. I think that's 10. And then with each of the codependent behaviors, do you have sufficient faith in your recovery currently not to repeat them? And I do. That may sound like a somewhat, not quite an assertive yes, but I did have to think about it, and I believe I do have it, and that's because of the next question. In other words, faith in my current recovery is based on the action that I'm taking today. So I think that's a really good point. What do you need to do to have more faith? And that's question number 3. Why do you feel it's necessary for you to release yourself from these negative emotions of worry, guilt, and regret? And I think that's a really good distinction because I grew up thinking, it wasn't my parents' fault, everybody I think felt this way, that feelings were facts, that if you had a feeling, there was nothing you could do about it. You just have to kind of endure it, like the clouds above your head or something, that there was no escaping your feelings. And until maybe even 5 or 6 years ago, and I'm 75 years old, so I've lived most of my life thinking that feelings were facts. But I've discovered in this program and another program that I'm in that I'm not the victim of my feelings, and I can do something about it. So here's one of the things that I do. It's an affirmation that I have, and it's about feelings. And I make the distinction between a feeling and a mood. Feelings and thoughts are temporary, they pass, they come and go, but a mood is more permanent. A feeling is temporary, a mood is more permanent. A feeling may last a few seconds or a few minutes, but a mood may last an hour or a day. You know what I'm saying? So I make the distinction between a feeling, a thought, and then the mood is the lasting, more permanent thing. So I have this affirmation that I say whenever I have a feeling of regret or fear or comparing myself with others. I feel it as sort of like a knock on the door. And then I have the power to invite the feeling in and sit down. Let's have a little talk. If you have something to teach me, if there's some action I need to take, fine. If not, goodbye, right? So here's my affirmation. With God's help, I choose my mood. I say this many times a week. With God's help, I choose my mood. Thoughts and feelings may knock at the door, but I alone admit them. I alone give them residence in my head. Today, with God's help, I drop the rock of victimhood, taking up agency for this and every area of my life. Thoughts and feelings may not be my choice, but mood is 100% my choice. Thanks.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do, okay? It's going to be a little bit different, okay? When I read then the promise, I'm not going to give you guys time to write. And the reason is because you don't really need it. Because you can come up and start just talk. Because I really want to get through these, all right? So I'm going to go on to promise number 5. Promise number 5. I know a new love and acceptance of myself and others. I feel genuinely lovable, loving, and loved. Question number 1. How do you truly know that you love and accept yourself? How do you know? Question number 2. How can you show genuine love to someone who's important to you without showing selfish, needy, codependent love? Not selfish or needy. Genuine love. Question number 3. What significant divine intervention have you had in your life that proves to you that your higher power loves you? Now, I'm going to define divine intervention. Some people call it miracles. Some people call them, I like calling them miracles or divine interventions. Some people call them blessings. They can be big divine interventions. They can be little ones, something tiny. Any little divine interventions, but anything that evidences to you that your higher power loves you. All right, let's get some answers to these questions. Please. Pardon? Absolutely. Let me give you the microphone, sir. Hey,
I had a very interesting experience. My mother passed away just at the beginning of COVID. But that particular Sunday, I was literally driving to church to hear none other than the famous Tony Copello. I was really looking forward to that. And unfortunately, believe Tony's passed away now, too. And I got not one, but 3 messages that said, go and see your mother now. Very distinct messages. And I'm driving along and going, what? Because I have very interesting sisters. We're working people. Don't see mother on Sunday. It's our day. You're retired. You can go any day of the week you want. So I'm thinking, why am I getting this message when I'm told not to go? But I believed the message, and I went. I get there, and my sister is at the door of her room in the nursing home, our care home, and says, Mother is passing away. Oh. And I'm like, oh my dear God, you are actually speaking to me to come now, immediately. I did sit with her for 8 hours all alone, and she couldn't speak, but I could tell by her eyes that she knew I was there. And she had some relief, obviously, that I was there. To this day, I don't know why the nursing home nor my sisters ever contacted me. But since that day, I have learned to pay attention more. And it seems like God is saying, look at this TV show, look at this YouTube, read this book, and these miraculous messages come to me. So I believe, and I'm still shocked to this day, that I'm telling you, it was so clear. It was amazing, especially since I was going to see the famous Tony Copello. I want to go hear him. You know, there's something interfering here, you know. But I took the higher message and not my immediate needs.
Lisa, do you want to go next time? And then you could come up afterwards. Here.
Well, I think my higher power is speaking to me. Terry B. from Nevada. To facilitate things, would it be easier if somebody ran a mic to answer these questions?
That's fine, as long as I get the graph.
Yeah.
You know, after like 3 people.
Yeah. This one, yeah, I had to accept myself. How do you truly know that you love and accept yourself? When I look in the mirror and I see myself. I used to look in the mirror and I didn't see myself. I've looked at that person and I'm like, who the hell is that? Now I can look in the mirror and see myself. And how can I show genuine love to someone important? Letting them have their feelings and not taking over. And what significant divine interventions have you had in your life? Similar to what was said, my higher power works in my life. He's always led me. And yeah, I just ask for some guidance, and I get it through reading and through music, and sometimes just when I ask, because there have been times I'm known in my family as the finder of all things, because if they can't find something in the house, I find it, and sometimes I just ask my higher power, if this is somewhere, where is it, and I find it. So I have a very active relationship with my higher power.
Thank you.
I got it. Okay. Yeah. Josie, codependent. Number 3, and this is actually, again, a lesson about a time that there was a divine intervention that I ignored. Several months ago, I was driving down the freeway, and I got a sudden urge that I should get off and take a side road. I'm like, God, this is ridiculous. It's going to be so much faster to go home, and I'm already running late for a call with my sponsee in another program. I get around the corner. There is a drunk driver on the road weaving back and forth. I could have died. Fortunately, I didn't. But from then on, I learned the importance of listening to God's message. The reasoning is hardly evident, but it could have saved my life that day. And then we can go on if we have time. Then for number 2, one of the wisest people I know in CoDA, which there are many, and most of that just means that they're a channel of God's wisdom, because none of us are all that wise by ourselves. Yeah, said one time that what really shows a relationship that really shows recovery in CoDA is not how you get into it, but how it ends. And so I was thinking back on my first serious relationship when I was in CoDA, actually my only so far, and just how shocked she was, so that I was just like, at the end of it, when it was clear that she wanted to leave me for another person, which, at any other time would have been like I probably would have had a restraining order against me for domestic violence. I was just like, well, I can, in myself, I cannot allow, you to keep staying with, this other person and me and trying to, keep this up. But I also want to honor your freedom, and you've made it clear, like, you're happy, you can be with me or you can be with her, you can choose. And then when she chose the other person, she, again, I think expecting me to blow up, and I was like, well, thank you so much for choosing your freedom. That means more to me than being with me. Doesn't mean I was sad. I wasn't sad. It does mean that I can want what's best for somebody, even if that thing goes directly against my own interest, and still recognize what my own interest is.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much. All right. Promise number 6. I learned to see myself as equal to others. My new and renewed relationships are all with equal partners. Question number 1. What would you deem as an unequal partner? Question number 2. In codependence, now this is one that you may not want to answer out loud. It's absolutely up to you, but you may not want to answer out loud. In codependence, who would you feel superior to? Come on, let's get real. Racial groups, cultures, educational status, financial status, others? We're all brought up with certain prejudices. Question number 3. In codependence, who would you feel inferior to? Racial groups, cultures, educational status, financial status, others? We really have to look at these things in our recovery, because we're brought up with prejudices. My family's from Greece. We don't like the neighbors to the east. I don't say that. What's the matter? You not see my big fat Greek wedding? Eh? All right. Can I have anybody come up and answer any of these questions? Or not come up and answer any of these questions? Oh, goody. Come on up. Yeah. Oh, well.
I don't know about the first one, but the second one, who would you feel superior to? I guess I would feel superior to people. I was brought up by a grandmother who said, just keep a stiff upper lip. People who are too emotional, too weak, those are the people, at least in my past, I've always felt superior to. Who would I feel inferior to? People who have scintillating personalities, outgoing, because I'm basically an introvert. People like my husband, who just are charming and smile, and my younger daughter's like that too. And those are the people, and people like you, people in the past I felt inferior to because I'm just kind of an introverted person. As far as the first question, who would I deem as an unequal partner? Boy, I can't answer that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Anybody else on this one? Is somebody stirring in the back who's thinking, yeah, I really want to answer that question, but I don't want to answer that question. Oh, come on, I know there's something stirring in the back corner back there. What is that, the bad boys at the back of the room? You don't talk, you know. All right. This isn't a question. These aren't questions you answer out loud. All right, promise number 7. I am capable of developing and maintaining healthy and loving relationships. The need to control and manipulate others will disappear as I learn to trust those who are trustworthy. This one's one of my favorites, to be honest. In your recovery, what do you do differently to develop and maintain a relationship, a loving, and maintain a healthy and loving relationship? Develop means you make it happen. Maintaining means you keep it healthy. You make it happen. You make a loving and healthy relationship happen. Maintaining it means you keep it that way. You know, now after that honeymoon period, then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. Question number 2. In your codependence, how have you controlled and manipulated others? I'll tell you something about controlling and manipulation that most people don't see, at least in my eyeballs. In however your codependence shows up, that's controlling and manipulating. Because I saw in myself that I didn't like being assertive. But I would have to have other people kind of guess what my needs were because I didn't want to say my needs. But people would have to guess it. So I would be all sweet and like, oh, do you think maybe? And not say it. And somebody else was expected to meet my needs for me and figure them out. Duh. That's controlling and manipulating. Or if somebody wanted to get off the phone, I had to control and manipulate them to keep them on the phone longer. That's controlling and manipulating. Because controlling and manipulating isn't only manifesting as, you will do what I say or I will kill you. That's not all. It can manifest as being, oh, so sweet. Yeah. Uh-huh. Are you trustworthy to your, question number 3, are you trustworthy to yourself? Can you trust yourself to set boundaries and respect them? Can you trust yourself to say no when you want to say no? Can you trust yourself to protect your own recovery? Can you trust yourself to show love and compassion to yourself? Can you trust yourself to handle situations with dignity and self-respect? Can you trust yourself not to sabotage your own success? Discuss with examples of recovery. I'll tell you what this actually means. Can you look in the mirror today in your recovery, can you look in the mirror and say, I got you. I got your back, kid. No matter what happens, no matter who's not there for you, I got your back. Can you say that to yourself? We all want to hear somebody else say that to us. I got your back, Cindy. Yeah, can you say that one to yourself? Can you promise yourself that you're going to be there for yourself? No matter what happens, that you're going to stand up and you're going to keep moving. All right.
Hey, Cindy.
Yeah?
I have a mirror right in front of me.
Cool. And?
I asked.
Good answer. What was the answer? Good answer. All right, can I get some answers here? Anyone want a microphone? Anyone want to show up to the microphone? Bring it on. No, this is a tough one. Oh, cool. Well, you can sit there and answer your questions. You can answer them to yourselves. Because this is all between you and you. You know, these questions, these are between you and you. They're not between you and me.
You know, the mirror thing was interesting to me because I don't know about you, but in our literature, the other program I'm in, there's a story about a woman who was not able to look in the mirror and say, you are okay. In fact, every time she tried to do it, she started crying. She called it self-hate. She said she was living with self-hatred. It wasn't low self-esteem. That's one thing. She said self-hatred. So when I read that years ago, I started trying to look in the mirror. And it was easier than I thought it would be, actually. But what I've learned is that the mirror really does help. When I look in the mirror and say, what did you say? I've got your back? Yeah, I haven't tried that one, but I will. When I look in the mirror and say, Michael, I love you just as you are, or like body image things like, I used to be really, really heavy, and you know, I'm 75 and things kind of sag and stuff like that. But whenever I have something in my head that is critical about my body, for example, I immediately, it's like a bell that goes off, and I've trained myself immediately to say, Michael, I love my body just as it is today. It's like I respond to the bully, not with fear, not with turning my back or something, but I smile at the bully and say, I love my body, my whole body, just as it is today. And it takes time, but it really does work.
Thank you. Very cool. Very cool. I want one more person with that one. Bring it on. Cool.
Thank you. Double dipping. Developing and maintaining healthy relationships. Listen. I've never been a good listener. I was a talker, and I was waiting for people to finish so I could say something, right? Stop fixing. I love people have their own journey. Love myself so that I can love them. 2, and have you controlled and manipulated? I spent my life doing that. So until I realized I wasn't being good, I was just taking away people's lives. And I was looking down on them, thinking I knew their life better than them. And 3, I think, sometimes I kind of doubt that on whether I have my back, but I do much better in realizing that I'm good enough. And, I can be better, but I'm good enough.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Wait, did I get 3 people? How about one more person? No? All right, cool. All right, let's go on. All right, promise number 9. I acknowledge that I am a unique 8. Ah, cool. Thanks for correcting me. I appreciate that. Promise number 8. I learned that it is possible for me to mend, to become more loving, intimate, and supportive. I have the choice of communicating with my family in a way which is safe for me and respectful of them. Question number 1. What character defects prevent you from believing that you could mend? Why would you think you couldn't? Question number 2. How can you be more loving, intimate, and supportive of those who reject you or are angry at you or who have hurt you? Question number 3. Why is it important in your recovery to communicate with family members in a way which is safe for you? I did something so bizarre at work the other day. This is in relation to question number 2. This woman went screaming at me about how she felt that I handled the situation poorly. And I'll tell you, in the past you think, I'm Greek. Let's get real. There's no way I would have just stood there. And I stood there. And I said then, I can see how you feel that way. However, I disagree. This conversation is over. Have a great day. And I left. Okay. Anybody want to answer these? Yeah, please, sir. Cool. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Will from Vancouver. It was interesting reading this one because most of my family is gone at this point. But I have my older brother and I were half brothers, and that was always been an issue that I didn't know about. And he didn't like me, and I now understand why. One of the things this program has done is had me go back and take a look at my childhood and the dynamic. And through that, we're sort of cordial to each other. We're very different people. But what has happened is I now understand that Lord knows he's codependent. We all were. When you talk about those somewhat dysfunctional families and some extremely dysfunctional, we go up into that extreme. But I now see where his anger towards me came from. And it's allowed me to go back and experience that with an understanding. And now we just have We see each other every 4 or 5 years and talk for 45 minutes. That's it. 45 minutes. And we go on. But it's like there's detente. And that's been a big piece. This program's allowed us to accept each other. But knowing, for me to look back and go, I know why. I know why. That's been the big thing.
That takes a lot of guts. I really appreciate that. Because you looked at it from the other person's perspective. That's recovery. Anybody else want to work on this one? One more person. Yippee! I have a hand back there. Hold on. Here you are, hon.
Okay, I'm Mary, codependent Mary. I haven't worked on this a lot, but that last share did just make me realize that it was kind of a, I don't know, big breakthrough for me that, childhood trauma was shared. I have two sisters, and anyway, one of them I've been able to talk to about it, and I love her so much, but she and I are very different. She's very conservative, and I'm not, and it's just a variety of things that. Once I came to realize, especially in the recent political climate, things kind of came to a, wow, really? But it's like, even that, I love her, and I respect her, and whatever she thinks or believes, anyway, we had a conversation recently where I was able to just say, I know we think differently about politics, and, but I love you. And like, just not let that be a barrier.
Oh, wonderful. Doesn't that open up everything? It really does. Yeah, very nice. Thank you. Promise number 9. I acknowledge that I am a unique and precious creation. I am unique. Question number 1. The word unique is defined as being the only one of its kind, unlike anything else. What makes you unique? Question number 2. The word precious is defined as of great value, not to be wasted or treated carelessly. How do you treat yourself in a way that evidences that you believe that you are precious? Question number 3. Why do you believe your higher power created you? Can I challenge somebody to answer this one? I would like to grab this microphone and hand it to someone. I'm handing it to you, Barry. Bring it on.
Unique. The word unique means being the only one of the kind, unlike anything else. What makes you unique? Never in the history of the world, nor in the existence of the universe, has there ever been another me. That's pretty unique. And precious? It's defined as a great value, not to be wasted carelessly. How do you treat yourself in a way that evidence you believe you are precious? Well, I've been hanging out with me for a long time. And I love me. And I always have. Now, you might say I had a good childhood or something like that. I did. But I've talked to myself every day, all my life. And sometimes I listen, mostly I do listen now. That's part of what I've learned in recovery. I listen to myself. I like myself. I've been hanging out with myself all the time. So I am a precious and neat creation. I'm a 100% human. and I like it. And I like hanging out with humans, especially 100% humans. I picked to choose this one because one of my very dear friends who died recently, that was her favorite. Third question, why do I believe your higher power created you? I believe differently than that. My Gomu, the God of my understanding, is different. But I'm created, and I'm appreciative, and I've enjoyed it the entire existence I've had. And I don't know where I'm going after this, but I sure hope I meet a whole bunch of 100% humans who love themselves. Thanks.
Thank you. How wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Do you want to answer? Oh, okay. Okay. All right, let's move on. Promise number 10. I no longer need to rely solely on others to provide my sense of worth. Question number 1. Can you make this statement looking at yourself in the mirror and genuinely mean this with full authenticity? I no longer need to rely solely on others to provide my sense of worth. Question number 2. If you winced once in making this statement, where's the hesitation coming from? Whose approval you're still looking for? Question number 3. This statement defines genuine emotional independence. What does that feel like? Now remember, that means you can't blame others for your feelings. You can't say, you made me do this. You made me feel bad. Nobody made you feel anything, sunshine. Question number 4. We can't take our recovery for granted. What daily actions do you do to maintain this emotional independence? This is recovery from codependence. Do I have any takers? Any microphone takers on any of these? I'm going to challenge someone. I'm going to take this microphone and I'll hand it to you. How about it? Answer some of the questions.
Answer some of the questions. Okay. Yes, I can look in the mirror and genuinely, I totally like myself at this point. The one that I'd like to, number 4, we take our inventory for granted. What daily actions do you take to maintain this emotional independence? And prayer and meditation has allowed me to go inside and realize that all my troubles are as a result of exterior attachments, and that I get to do the work and feel safe inside. And when I do that, I'm okay. And also, mainly, none of that is worth it if I'm not connecting with people in my life on a daily basis. And one real quick thing about my Creator, I believe that I was created to hear, speak, and taste the mango, the watermelon, the delicious flavors, and see beauty and experience life. And that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, one day at a time, one moment. Thank you.
Thank you. How wonderful. Thank you. Who else would like me to hand the microphone to them? I'm going to grab somebody back there. Oh, I'm going to put someone on the spot. Yeah. Yeah.
My name is James, and I'm codependent. When I started my recovery, I read these promises every day. and they meant the world to me, and they changed my life. But I claimed the promises. I didn't think about them a whole lot, but they went right here into my heart. What are the, so on 11? Is that what we're on? 10. You make a statement looking in the mirror. Look at yourself. I look at myself in the mirror every day, and I don't have any problems with that. If you wince once, I don't wince. I'm totally committed to my recovery. We can't take our recovery for granted. We cannot take our recovery for granted. What daily actions do you take to maintain this emotional independence? I claimed my emotional independence from my wife, who I still live with. And when I was leaving, she said, well, I told her that if she loved me, that she would want me to be independent, and that I want her to feel free to do anything in life that she wants to do. And that's how you love somebody, to want the best for them and want what they want. And something I learned that was real important, I don't know, a book somewhere, it said that my partner gives me 25% of her time, not 100%. I don't belong to her, and she doesn't belong to me. 25%, and that's all I have a right to expect. And I think that's about true. That's about right. That my expectation of her is just a little bit of her time, and maybe make a meal now and then, and a kind word now and then. And I love the promises, and I'll pass with that.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Can I get one more person? And I hand it to some. Oh, goody, Rosa. Gracias a usted.
I'm just going to talk about number 4.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. You know, what daily actions do you take to maintain this emotional independence? I stay connected. I cannot afford not to do, not to think, not to talk, not to feel program every single day of my life. On my way to work, during work, on my way back home, I'm always listening. I'm always to something. You know, I cannot afford. I'm dangerous to myself. If I disconnect, I am going to connect to something unhealthy. And I rather be connected, plugged in. I need to stay plugged in, you know, because I'm unhealthy, and I could potentially be very unloving to people, and especially to myself. I need to stay connected to my higher power, day in, day out, 24/7 if I can, during meditation, during praying, during awake moments, during silent moments, because if I don't, I cannot afford to allow anything and anybody or anything outside or inside of this earth to disconnect me. I'm sorry. If I disconnect, I will connect. So that's how I see it. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's beautifully said. Thank you. All right, promise number 11. I trust the guidance I receive from my higher power and come to believe in my own capabilities. Okay, so in our recovery, we come to learn that there is a higher power, and however you see your higher power, I'm not going to tell you how to see your higher power. But what I'm saying is that there is a higher power, and that guides us, and an external being that guides us. But then what happens is, then we start to feel the strength inside of ourselves. So then we start to feel the power inside of ourselves. But the spiritual power to do the right thing, the spiritual power to be able to operate with integrity. What actions do you take to seek your higher power's guidance? Question number 2. When you receive your higher power's guidance, how do you know that this guidance is actually from your higher power and not from your ego? Question number 3. How do you think you would behave differently if you were to be fully receptive to guidance from your higher power and had the confidence to act on it? how do you think that you would behave differently? Now, answer this question in terms of specific situations, maybe in your life. How do you know it's not your own ego? Isn't that a tough one? Oh, goody. I have a hand. Please.
Okay, what I've been doing, and it's been a struggle because I really have some problems with some of the religious teachings that I've been taught. But so what I've come up with, my higher power, I had this realization. I just called my higher power my God. But the my is the important part because it's not anybody else's. Now, whether that makes it part of my ego or not, I'm not really sure. But I am able to just stop in the moment or be in the moment and connect by being calm and quiet and hearing whatever response is there for me. And that response is my asking to my God. So it just really keeps me connected and really calm. So that's what it is.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can I get another on this one? Oh, goody. Shall I pass this to you or do you want to? Oh, good. Thank you so much, hon. I appreciate that. Oh, how cool is that? That's teamwork.
I'm Richard. I'm codependent as hell. And this question gets my interest because it's one that I think gets asked a lot. I get asked it an awful lot by sponsees. And one of the best pieces of guidance that I've received on the subject is to listen to the tone of voice. When I feel like I'm getting guidance, listen to the tone. Because my higher power doesn't scream at me. Right? And the simple phrase, my will is a constant urgency, God's will is a calm certainty. The idea that if that voice is saying, Richard, you got to do this, you got to do it now, Richard, do it now, Richard, you got to do this now, that's probably my disease talking. Because when I've received clear guidance from my higher power, it comes in the form of, no, Richard, it's okay. All you got to do is this. So when I get that calm, quiet voice speaking into my right ear, I try to pay attention now. And that's the whole point of prayer and meditation, is getting quiet enough that I can hear that quiet voice. So thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. Oh, good. Shall I come? Oh, goody. Let's pass this down. Oh, thank you, hon.
Thank you. So I have a story. You want a situation, and this one is very immediate. So last week, being on the events committee, I was supposed to be here on Thursday. My mom was in the emergency room twice in the last week before I left. I work. Events committee is a full-time job. And I was really, really tired and really exhausted. So I checked in with my higher power, and my higher power said, put your trip off a day. Or put your trip off. And so I got in contact with the airline, who it was going to be $50 to put my trip off one day, $600 to put it off 2 days. So I just did the 1 day and just thought, okay, all right, must be 1 day. Well, here's how my higher power is going to take care of me. Cloud strike. I didn't get here till Saturday. And I did have to take some crazy flights. I ended up staying in a hotel in Washington, D.C., so flying from Seattle to D.C. to come back to Ottawa. But the airline put me up in a hotel. My flight was until the next afternoon. I had an entire night of fabulous sleep. I spent the whole morning journaling, meditating, praying, and I got here in great shape, and I got here 5 minutes late for CSC. So anyways, that was my higher power. So, anyways.
Thank you. Oh, cool. Thank you. All right, guys, last one. Great job so far, guys. I gradually experienced serenity, strength, and spiritual growth in my daily life. Question number 1. During what specific steps of the 12 steps do you feel your emotional and spiritual growth, strength growing? Clarify. Question number 2. Why is it important to understand that these miraculous changes take place gradually? Question number 3. How would you describe the feeling of spiritual growth deep inside your own heart? And that's the last question, guys. Shall I toss the microphone? Oh, goody. I need not. Here. Sir? All right.
This gradually part I do have trouble with, I must admit. I can't always be patient.
You're going to take the other microphone.
Oh, sorry.
Now. That's all right.
I'm with you on the jet lag thing. Except I came from Australia. This gradually thing is really interesting because it's getting better and better these days, but I use something called the I Ching, which is this little deal here. But there was a time when Brian was so impatient looking for those instant answers, and oh my God, what a terrible road to be on, I can tell you. You're just in a constant state of multitasking, multi-stress, multi-everything. It's just all happening at once. So to slow down is definitely a wonderful feeling. And that feeling for me, I feel I'm growing spiritually deep inside my heart. I'm actually growing at this part. Maybe I'm giving myself room to be Brian.
Beautifully said. All right, so I'm just going to hand the microphone to some people. All right, we're going to have some fun with this one. Ma'am, have at it. Lucky you poor thing.
Hi, I'm Anisha. Grateful to be here today. This has been a wonderful workshop.
Well, thank you.
It's step 1 for me because I meditate and pray almost every day. Occasionally I'll miss a day. It's that, giving my life over to the care of God and repeating every day as many times as I can remember, I am powerless over others. There is nothing outside myself. If there's a problem, I'm there. I've noticed that. Whenever there's a problem, I'm always there. And that problem is not outside of me, it's inside of me. And then I need to take that inventory about what's my perception of this? Where do I hate myself? Where do I love myself? All those questions. But I think it's step 1 that is the one that makes me ponder on a daily basis.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm going to grab somebody from the back of the room here. All right, look at you. Would you like to answer a question, sir? No. Would you like to answer a question, ma'am? Sure. Cool.
Thank you. Well, obviously, during what specific steps of the 12 steps do we feel emotional and spiritual strength growing? Steps 2 and 3 and steps 11. And then why is it important that the changes, the miraculous changes take place gradually? I think that so we can appreciate the process. And we didn't become codependent overnight. So I'm not going to be able to recover overnight. Describe the feeling of spiritual growth deep inside your heart. For me, that would be peace and serenity, and feeling that peace and serenity even when it feels like sometimes everything is going wrong around you. Being able to stand on that.
Thank you so much, hon. Thank you so much. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate the time you took. I appreciate nobody got up and walked out. This was amazing. 2.5 hours, guys. You really rocked it. Thank you. Thank you.